Here we go. We're learning about the going out of Egypt and what exactly happened when the Jews went out and what that means to us today. And so we're saying really the main character in Judaism is Abraham. True, Moses took the Jews out of Egypt, and Moses got the Torah, and and Moses led the Jews through the desert, and Moses had to deal with the Jewish people. And Abraham didn't really have to do any of these things. Abraham didn't have the Jewish people. He didn't have all the troubles that the Jewish people made. He didn't have to give the Torah to everybody and teach the Torah, sitting and learning and get all the different problems. But Abraham had something that Moses didn't have. And what Abraham did was beginning. God gave him what was called circumcision. He gave him the brit, the connection, the covenant. What the word covenant means, who knows? But the word covenant with God. What does a covenant mean? A brit. What does it mean? Now everybody breaks covenants all the time, no problem. Covenant means it's, and they say, an infinite, unconditional agreement. Is there such a thing in the world? Infinite, unconditional agreement. Everything in this world is changing all the time, especially things that depend on people, right? People change their minds and situations make people change. Yeah, that's what I said, but I didn't really mean it. I thought about it, but things changed, right? I found out that I was mistaken. A covenant means that unconditionally, I agree to be your friend. That's really a covenant means. I agree, right? You make a covenant with somebody, and you realize that that person, he lied to you, he cheated you, he was tricking you, it wasn't a this, doesn't make any difference. You made the covenant, that's it. Is there such a thing in the world? Now you can get out of almost any agreement. The covenant that God made with Abraham was a covenant that it was an unconditional covenant, which meant two ways. Number one, God said, I will never leave the Jewish people, no matter what they do. And Abraham said, we Jewish people will never leave you, God, no matter what we do. Okay, how could this doesn't make any sense because the Jewish people weren't there yet. So how could God make a condition with Abraham that he would never leave the Jewish people? He didn't know what type of Jewish people they're going to be. Maybe there's a lot of times that people were really, wonderful, nice, and all their children were like terrible, criminals, who knows what. And the same thing with Abraham. How could Abraham make a covenant for his children? Maybe his children don't want anything to do with it, right? Oh, my father made an agreement with you, but I didn't make an agreement. So the answer is that somehow in the essence of the soul of Abraham and the essence of the being of God, why God is creating the whole world, somehow or other, this was linked together when Abraham made the covenant. And when he made the covenant with God, this covenant with God, how did he make the covenant? By circumcising himself. Don't try it at home. Circumcised himself, not only that he was 99 years old, and not only that, he was the first person to do it in the world. He didn't even know how to really what to do. God had to explain to him where to make the circumcision. But what's the big thing about circumcising himself is that he did exactly what God wanted because God wanted it in the physical world. That's the point. Exactly what God wanted in this physical world. And what does God want? That we should make this physical world a holy place. So Abraham made the link between the essence of the creator and the creation. Before that, it wasn't such a thing. There were the spiritual worlds. That's the closest you could get to the creator. And when Abraham made the circumcision, this physical world became a connection to God directly in this world, more than the angels, more than everything else. Okay, it had to wait until the giving of the Torah because Abraham was a very high level person. And so he could do it. But when the Torah came, everybody could do it. That was the commandments. So it says even more. The beginning of the joining of the upper worlds with the lower worlds, that's what Abraham accomplished That's the whole novelty of the giving of the Torah. And the giving of the Torah, but the beginning of that, which started in the circumcision, Yesh Eitzel Avot, it is done when Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did it in a higher way than when we do it. The circumcision. Why? The chidush, the whole big uniqueness, the novelty of joining the upper worlds with the lower worlds is the world, the physical world. I know we've said this a lot of times, but I'll say it a lot more times. Judaism is the only religion. There's a lot of religions in the world. Judaism is the only one that has commandments. Other religions have rituals, they have customs, they have what is it? The holidays. They have whatever it is, the things that, right? Ceremonies. They have signs that they have. This one has this sign and that sign they wear around their neck. They can do this. But Judaism has commandments. Commandments are physical, exact physical deeds according to God's specifications. You're doing in the world exactly what a Jewish person, we have this thing called tefillin, right? Jewish people have tefillin. Well, tefillin are these two boxes. You know what's inside of the boxes, right? So you say, what difference does it make? Who puts two boxes on their arm? Because the one on their arm, one on their head, because God wants it. That's enough. It's not enough. In each one of these boxes is written 4 paragraphs, and that this commandment appears in the Torah, and they have to be written exactly right. If there's one letter wrong, then it's disqualified. It's not a commandment anymore. It's like putting a potato on your head. One letter, you don't even know what's inside of the boxes. The boxes are closed. Well, you have to open them up. Open them up once, twice, 3 times a year, once every 2 years, 3 years. You have to open up and check them. You have to check the there's all sorts of different laws when they have to be checked, how they have to be checked. But you have to check why is that? What doesn't, because that's what God wants. You're doing exactly what God wants in Gidri Olam, in the world. That's commandments. And only the Jews have commandments. Only the Jews. The 7 Noahide commandments are not commandments in the same way. They're responsibilities that we have, that the non-Jews have. But they're nowhere near as exact and precise as what the Jews have. There's 7 Noahide commandments. Those are prohibitions. And then there's a Talmud in Chulin that says there's 30 positive Noahide commandments. There's different opinions about what they are. In any case, they're all good things. That divides the upper worlds and the lower worlds, dividing the upper worlds and lower worlds until there is gezerah, there's a decree, and the gezerah, a decree and a separation between the upper worlds and the lower worlds. The upper worlds didn't come down to this world, and the lower worlds didn't go up. But Matan Torah, when the Torah was given, when God gave the Torah, suddenly all of the upper worlds were like nothing. All the upper worlds were like nothing. Previously, you had spiritual people, they could get to God. And then there's normal physical people. We looked at the spiritual people with tremendous admiration. As soon as God gave the Torah, the highest essence of spirituality came into this physical world. I mean, we still can look at spiritual people with admiration, but it's not, the highest spiritual levels are nothing compared to doing a commandment. Nothing. When God gave the Torah, as he took away the separation between the upper worlds and the lower worlds, the Naseh Chibur, and there was a connection between the upper worlds and the lower worlds, something like a covenant, right? The Brit. The Torah is called the Luchot HaBrit. It's called the tablets of the covenant. Just like Abraham made a covenant with God, which linked his personal life with God every single instant, that's what the Torah did. It linked the spiritual with the physical. But from the level of godliness, which is above the worlds, lo shayach gezerah, that's not relevant, any sort of a decree, any sort of a separation between the upper worlds and the lower worlds. Godliness, God, the essence of God, there's no upper, there's no world, there's just a creation. Shenimsa be'elyonim, that God is found in the upper worlds, just like he's found in the lower worlds, equally Also, before the giving of the Torah, God has to create everything constantly. So if he's creating everything constantly, then everything, the upper worlds are as much as a miracle as this physical world is. It's all being created from nothing. The Chiddush, the whole novelty of giving the Torah is that the world, in the world itself, not just that God is found here, God is found all the time anyway. The novelty of the giving of the Torah is that God is found in the world according to the standards of the world. That there seems to be the physical world is separate from the spiritual worlds. There should be drawn godliness which is above the world into the physical world. That was essentially the Holy Temple. The Holy Temple was a building. It was in a physical, actual place. I mean, it didn't have an address because there were no neighbors or anything. It was the only building that was there, but it was a physical building just like any other building in the world. It was made from bricks just like any other bricks in the whole world. It wasn't special, magical bricks or something, regular bricks. And people would go to the Holy Temple and they would feel that God is creating them. They would feel that the whole world is a big creation. They would feel the creator. They would feel there's a purpose to the creation. They would feel responsibility to the creator. That we go happy. They feel happy. Movement. So this is understood. Also, the revelation of the name of God when God gave the Torah. Emerald in Israel, God said to Moses, "Speak to the Jewish people. Tell them I am God. And I have taken them. I have taken you, Jewish people, for a nation. You should know that I am God." So when God gave the Torah, so God revealed himself to everybody. Shechirush says, so God revealed himself to Abraham also, but not in the same aspect as he did to all the Jewish people. Shechirush said the novelty of the giving of the Torah is connected to the work of the Jewish people in the physical world. Al Yadei, by means of doing the Torah and the commandments. Lif'ol chibur, to join the upper worlds and the lower worlds, that this physical world becomes suddenly important. It becomes holy. Physical world. But that's why the whole thing, the land of Israel, is supposed to be the first example of this. It's supposed to be a holy land. It's supposed to be holy. So we see the big mistake of the secular government, the secular idea, secular Israel, right? And we want the world to all like us because we're secular and we are a democracy and we are like everyone else. And we have, girls walking around on the beaches and we have, free, whatever it is, all sorts of weird parades and things like that because we are secular and we are secular. So that's exactly the opposite of what Israel is supposed to be. And exactly, I don't blame the world for being angry with us. We're supposed to provide the world with purpose. And we're saying there's no purpose. You're just like us. Everybody's the same. We're like you. We learn from you. We receive from the non-Jews. You tell us what to do. We'll do anything that you do. That's the opposite of what it's supposed to be. The Jewish people are supposed to be the example of bringing the creator in the creation, especially in the land. Even in the physical land is supposed to be holy. That's called holy. Holiness is happiness. Holiness is happiness. Holiness is life. The land of Israel is supposed to be called the land of life. The Jewish people, Am Yisrael Chai, it's supposed to be showing you what life is. So that was happened after the Torah was given. But even before this, even before the Torah was given, Yeshno, there is what's called the essence of the Jewish people. The covenant that Abraham made with God, the essence of the Jewish people that was above the Torah. Like it says, the thought of the Jewish people, there was going to be people that was before everything. The Torah was before the world, but the Jews are before the Torah. The Jews exist, Gam, are before even the thought of the Torah. That's why the Jews can go against the whole Torah. What they like in the golden calf. They can go against the whole entire Torah, and God still forgives them. He loves them. If they have to return, they have to say, we want that. Shazui Dargas Avos. That's the level of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. How the Jews, the essence of the Jews, are above the Torah. They're above the world. They're above a shorish umakar, the essence of what the Jewish people are. That was revealed by Abraham. And that began from Abraham. Abraham was one. Rosh Hashanah, meaning he was the first to really believe in God. That he opened up the pipeline of the koach emunah that we can have faith in God, and even more mesirut nefesh, self-sacrifice that comes from the essence of the soul. Why self-sacrifice? Because God is valuable beyond any estimation. Precious of the precious. That's what it means to love God. Abraham brought love of God into the world. He was the first one to show that God is so amazingly valuable and precious and dear and important to every single human being, that God is creating us. And Abraham was the first one to bring faith and love and self-sacrifice into the world. Because God, you can't appreciate God by your normal senses. You have to have faith that it's true. Even though you say God is creating me, but you can get along very well saying that God is not creating me. My parents created me and I'm just here. It requires something above understanding to connect to the truth that God is. That's called faith, emunah. But once one has that, then you start to realize that what's really valuable is not what you can understand. It's the source of everything. Source of everything. And to the degree that even Abraham had what's called self-sacrifice that come from the essence of his soul. It's above understanding. But Chidush the Gilui, that's the whole novelty of the revelation of the name of God and Mount Sinai. Because what did God say to Abraham? Right? Moses said to God, God, why are you making the Jewish people suffer? And God said, that's the beginning of this week's Torah portion, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they received one name of mine, but I'm revealing to the Jewish people a higher name of God, and it's worth the suffering in order to get this higher name of God. It's worth it. That's what it says. The whole novelty of the revelation at Mount Sinai, this higher name of God, is what? That the essence of the Jewish people, which that's the level of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, should be drawn down and revealed also in this physical world, in every single Jew, in every single Jew's personality. Gam kafish and itlabsho, even how it is in this physical world, whether you want it or not. Which that, by the way, is one of the reasons that people hate Jews. That's one of the reasons for Jew hatred. They call it anti-Semitism, which I don't know why they call it that. It just doesn't make any sense. I think that whole term should be just scrapped. It's just so vague and it's just so unclear, right? Really, anti-Semite. Where's a Semite? And they're opposed to the Semites. They hate Jews. What do you don't drink a cup. You're going around the tree. No, he doesn't hate the Jews. He hates the Semites, and it's not that he hates them. He's just opposed to them, right? Like Republicans are anti-Democrat, and the Republicans are there. There's not hatred. Just we just don't like them, right? It's not a phobia. It's not a phobia. It's not a phobia. It's just an opposition. It's really not an opposition. It's just that I don't like him. It's just that I can get along. It's not so. They hate the Jews. They want to kill the Jews. Why? Because of Mount Sinai. It says the word Sinai is like the word Sina. And one of the interpretations is that it brought Sina to the Umas Olam, that the world hates us. Why does the world hate us? Because we got the Torah. Why? Because the Torah is infinite, unchanging laws. Laws that cannot be altered or abrogated or rescinded or whatever the big words you want to use. Laws that are infinite. The same thing with the land of Israel. In the beginning of the Torah, it says that the non-Jews will come. Rashi says the Jews will come. The non-Jews will say, and you are thieves. You took the land of Israel, right? So every land in the world is there. Every nation that they live in, England, whatever, they conquered it from somebody else. Americans conquered it from the Indians. England conquered from the Normans, the Saxons, whoever, the whole thing. William the Conqueror, whatever. Every nation is there because they conquered. Why everybody against? Because Israel belongs to the Jews unconditionally, eternally. All the other nations are living in a place where they could be conquered. The Jews can't be conquered, even if the Jews all leave the land of Israel. There's no one Jew living in Israel. It's ours eternally. The same thing with the Torah. The Torah has truth in it, whether the Jews keep it or they don't, God forbid. But the first one is also God forbid. Even if the Torah is absolute truth and it was given absolutely to the Jewish people, it's absolute. People don't like that. People want to think that they did, it's conditional, in order to Paul. That's the whole basis of Christianity, that it was a conditional. God gave the Jews conditionally Israel and conditionally the Torah, and they didn't keep it, so they took it away from them. Right? That was unconditional. That's not so. It's unconditional, eternal connection between God and the Jewish people, God and the Torah, God and the land of Israel. It's unconditionally eternal, absolute. And the whole reason is because God is also unconditional and absolute and eternal. And that's the whole idea of giving the Torah to the Jews, so that the unconditional, absolute, eternal, what do you call it, spiritual, whatever, of God will be in this physical world. In order to make this physical world, by means of doing Torah and the commandments, we can draw godliness into the world, and everyone will see that God is creating everything in the world. Everything in the world is tremendously important to God. In another detail, the whole novelty of the giving of the Torah, we got into the Jewish people, and through the Jewish people to the whole world, is not only regarding the Hamshach, drawing God below, that God's essence should be in the world, but also and mainly that God's essence should be in the world. Not only that a little bit of godliness should be revealed in the world, which that's a big novelty, but the essence of God should be in the world. That by means, only by in this physical world, can God's essence be revealed only in this world. God's essence is not revealed in the spiritual worlds. God's essence is not limited to being spiritual or physical. Therefore, it can be drawn down everywhere. And the main thing that God wants is this physical world. Gam also, the essence of God is brought down, was also revealed to Abraham and Isaac and Jacob by means of what? By means of the circumcision. When Abraham made the circumcision, that revealed the essence of God in this physical world. Hamshachas Kedusha, holiness in the physical body, in this physical world. If so, why did God have to give the Torah if it was already by Abraham? Because it was not Abraham personally, in his person, that was revealed godliness in human beings, but because it wasn't revealed in the physical world, in the rocks and the stones and the trees and the animals. Therefore, Lon Niskar, it's not drawn down, it's not recognized that God's essence is in the world, that the God's essence, which is unlimited, is drawn down everywhere. When God gave the Torah, animals became holy. How did animals become holy? The Torah says, don't eat this animal. Suddenly, all the animals which are forbidden to eat, God is telling you what to do with them. Avoid them. All the animals which are permissible to eat, God is saying you can't eat them, but they're not so simple. You have to know how to slaughter them. You have to know how to salt it, if you want to boil it, etc. But God also, after the giving of the Torah, that was drawn down, holiness was drawn down into the physical world. You can still feel the essence of God. So the essence of God is not spiritual. The essence of God creates the spiritual, but he's also creating us. Nevertheless, the whole idea, the whole purpose of the world, to reveal the essence of God in this physical world, this power was begun by and accomplished by Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The Ariel Avot. True, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did not draw it into the actual physical world, only in the physical bodies, human bodies, by the circumcision. But nevertheless, God's essence was there. That's why Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are called the fathers. The avodat abanim, the service of the Jewish people after the giving the Torah, is mainly by means of itlabshut, bitaskut, is mainly by being in the world, upper worlds, lower worlds, which is not the case with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. Their whole thing, every single second of their lives, was listening to and being motivated by the essence of their soul. And in this, and this power gave the Jewish people, Bnei Yisrael, Yisrael is Jacob, right? The sons of Jacob, we now have the power. Our source comes from the Abbas. We have now the power that we can also bring godliness into the physical world. Yesh Loma, we can say that when God gave the Torah, this is the whole idea of the marriage of God, of the Jewish people with God. As King Solomon said, Yom Chatunuto Ze Matan Torah, the day that God, 37, I'm sorry, King Solomon said that God is happy on the day of his marriage. And in the Talmud and Tiny, this is what is the day of God's marriage? When God gave the Torah. When God gave the Torah, he got married to the Jewish people. When this happened, Boim Mishtatafim, that when the Torah was given, also now Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, they lived like 400 years, something like that, before the Torah was given. 400 years, 430 years, 450 years before the Torah was given. 500 years, it says, from the birth of Yitzchak, it says, so Abraham was born 100 years before Yitzchak was born. So that's 500 years before the Torah. It says, when the Torah was given, that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob also came, they were also part. Just like at a marriage, all Chassan Kala is coming, all of the parents and the grandparents to the wedding. 3 generations. It says there's a custom, it says that when people get married, that the departed members of the family also come. So let's say, God forbid, a person's parents are dead, and his grandparents are dead, and his great-grandparents are dead. But when they get married, the souls of the parents, grandparents, and great-grandparents come to the wedding. Gam elu animsaim kavar, elu animsar ba'olam ha'emet, even those that are found in heaven. So the same thing when the Torah was given, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that they're the fathers of the Jewish people, they were there. So this stresses that the service of the Jewish people after the marriage day of giving of the Torah, when God got married to all the Jewish people, this is, first of all, it stresses that it's the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They're the fathers and the grandfathers. And number 2, and that the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is revealed below when we Jewish people do what God wants. So we reveal in the world the same thing Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did. Now that it's revealed in the world doesn't mean that we perceive it. Only the days of the Moshiach will be perceiving. That's called going out of Egypt. That's called the Geula, the redemption. But it's going to happen for sure, and 100% it will happen. But we have to know it's like money being deposited in our bank account. And bank account, when Moshiach comes, we'll be able to take it out. We'll feel what true godliness is, even greater and more real than the highest heavens. And that's what we're working for. But we have to know that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob opened up the door to this reality, revealing God in this physical world, so we know that what the physical world really is made of, what's really going on here, what life is really for. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Now let's do that doesn't work. Okay.